those who don't know me, I'm Karen Dion, and I write psychological suspense that's set in Michigan's Upper Peninsula wilderness. I have two novels that are set there, The Marsh King's Daughter and The Wicked Sister, and they've both been published in many other languages and have been a bestseller in other parts of the world. And it's super exciting being able to know that readers are reading my books for all over the world. And then I always have to mention that my breakout book, The Marsh King's Daughter, is also going to be released sometime this year. We don't have a date yet, as a major motion picture starring Daisy Ridley and Ben Mendelsohn. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you, guys. Now, tonight's guests. We're going to do this alphabetically. So, Julie, you are the first one up. Julie Gerstenblatt holds a doctorate in curriculum and instruction from Teachers College, Columbia University, and has taught everything from middle school to graduate school. That sounds super interesting. Her essays have appeared in the Huffington Post, Feller. Oh boy, I can't pronounce that one. And thank you. Say it again.
Cognoscenti.
Okay, I should have prepped it just a little bit better, right? And Grown and Flown, among others. When not writing, Julie is a college essay coach, as well as a producer and on-air host for A Mighty Blaze, which has grown into a leading resource for author interviews. Daughters of Nantucket is her first novel. It published March 14 of this year. It's set against Nantucket's Great Fire of 1846 and brings together three courageous women battling to save everything they hold dear. In a starred review, Booklist wrote, Gerstenblatt's distinctive tale, a triumph of storytelling, celebrates the courage and tenacity of women. Nice.
Thank you.
And you are currently on tour, right?
I am on tour, but tonight, and I'll hold up my book, but tonight I'm in Saratoga Springs for my daughter's college acceptance day tomorrow morning. So I'm on the road for a different reason right now.
All right.
But yeah, and I realize I have 3 words that are hard to pronounce in my bio, and I need to rewrite it for the next book.
Okay, that's great. So now we'll move on to Pam Jenoff. Pam is the author of 12 novels, predominantly historical fiction set around the Second World War. Her latest book is Codename Sapphire. It came out in February of this year and was an instant New York Times bestseller. I have to pause here. This just does not happen very easily or very often, an instant New York Times bestseller. So congratulations on that, Pam. Pam's books are inspired by the years she spent working as a diplomat in Poland, focusing on Holocaust issues. A graduate of GWU, Cambridge, and Penn Law, Pam lives outside Philadelphia with her husband, 3 kids, and 6 pets, and teaches law at Rutgers. And somewhere in with all of that, she manages to find time to write. And I want to read a quote about Codename Sapphire from New York Times bestselling author Kristen Harmel. She says, Pam Jenoff brings her storytelling talent to Belgium with this fast-paced, heart-pounding tale of love, family, and the perils of resistance. Get your tissues ready for the final few chapters. I like that. Okay. Now, Renee. Renee Rosen is the USA Today bestselling author of The Social Graces, Park Avenue Summer, Windy City Blues, White Collar Girl, What the Lady Wants, and Doll Face. She is also the author of Every Crooked Pot, a young adult novel that published in 2007. Renee's latest historical novel, Fifth Avenue Glamour Girl, tells the story of the cosmetic icon Estee Lauder's rise in the cosmetic industry. From making face creams in her Upper West Side apartment to landing her first major account at Saks Fifth Avenue, we follow an ambitious, determined woman who won't stop till she reaches the top. Marie Benedict, author of The Personal Librarian and The Mitford Affair, says, in this captivating novel, Renee Rosen invites readers to peer behind the lovely facade of the iconic Estee Lauder at her real origin and hardscrabble rise, a fascinating glimpse into a legend who has changed the face of cosmetics forever. Sounds cool, doesn't it? And lastly, but not leastly, oh wait, I hear on my second page, Renee, your bio went over onto the second page. I wanted to read this because it says Renee lives in Chicago and is at work on a new novel about the Barbie doll creator, Ruth Handler. That sounds awesome too. Yeah, nice one. Now, Brendan, Brendan Slocumb was born in Yuba City, California, raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So one coast and the other, right? He's a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro with a degree in music education, concentrations on violin and viola. While at UNCG, Brendan was the concert master for the University Symphony Orchestra and served as the principal violinist. He performed with numerous small chamber ensembles, including flute and clarinet choirs, and in the Besk String Quartet. His debut novel, which you see behind him, The Violin Conspiracy, was a Good Morning America book club pick, which is pretty darn awesome too. His newest novel is called Symphony of Secrets, and it's due out April 18. That's like Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
So right around the corner. Yes, April 18. Set in 1920s Manhattan, Brendan Slocumb's, and this is a quote, Symphony of Secrets is a wonderfully compelling page turner that's so authentic you'll swear that Slocumb himself was part of the 1920s Manhattan music scene. Slocumb's musical background, along with his unique characters and gorgeous prose, create a fascinating story of astonishing talent and extraordinary deceit. I love this book. Me.
Karen, your
Thank
check's
you.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah, and that's one of the fun things about being an author and being in the author world. You know, you make so many friends and you get the privilege of an early read sometimes of other books. So that was awesome. So that's all the intros, unless I was to go along and introduce everyone here tonight too, but that might take a little too long, right? But what we're going to do next is we're going to play a quick game of, well, we call it not quite 20 questions because 20 questions would take too long, but it gives you a chance to get to know the authors and a little bit about them and some of their likes and dislikes. We have backroom cards, see, says the backroom with questions on the back and everything. So I'm going to ask the questions in the order that I see you on my screen, which means you're up first, Brendan, and you get the hardest question of all.
Of course.
Is your desk messy or tidy?
You would not believe how messy it is. You wouldn't believe it. I'm
Okay.
so happy you cannot see past this panel. It is unbelievable.
You can't just tip the screen down for a second.
You know, I will do. Okay, you ready? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
Okay.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a
I
mess.
agree.
It's a mess.
All right, so at least half of the audience is with you on that, and probably half are not. So we'll find out in the breakout rooms who's also messy. Thank you, Julie. Here's your question: what's the first thing you do when you get an idea for a book?
The first thing I do is take my dog for a walk because that idea needs to like build a little bit and then I can go and take some notes. I like to jot down scene ideas before I've really thought through major plot points, but I'll get a flash of a moment in a character's life and I just want to play with it a little bit and not judge myself on like that won't work because or whatever before starting to write.
That's really smart. Good idea. I can take some lessons from that. Thank you. Renee, your question is, when do you feel the most creative?
Oh, morning, definitely. And I'm not a morning person, but my head's empty. I'm not worried about all the mundane stuff. So I get up and, kind of an unofficial 5 a.m. Writing club member. And that's when it's best for me.
That's awesome. I am too. And again, the attendance is probably split 50-50. That half are saying yes and half are groaning and saying, oh no, please not. Yeah. Now, Pam, your question is similar. Where do you write?
Presently, I write here, which is what you see, but like I went through phases. I went through a phase where I really liked my office. I teach at Rutgers, so I would creep in there. I had a phase that I called a Panera office, which was like a pre-pandemic phase, but I'm pretty happy. This is just a little tiny corner of my bedroom. I live in squalor. That's my hashtag. You've probably heard me say that. So, yeah. Right here.
Well, it's a beautiful screen that's hiding the squalor. So
hiding a lot of squalor.
That's awesome. Brendan, what book made you want to be a writer?
Murder on the Orient Express. Absolutely loved it as a kid. I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. It was great.
Isn't it so interesting that, that was your reaction?
Yep.
Even as a child? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was the first mystery I read from cover to cover.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's awesome. Good choice too. Julie, what was your favorite book as a child?
Oh, all of Judy Blume. Um, from the little kid ones up to teenage ones. And I would have to say, I followed her into adulthood too. So I loved how she could get into a character's voice, and then I read them over like Fudge to my kids, and I did the voices. I have my own like Fudge voice. He has a little bit of a speech impediment the way I do Fudge. So I would say definitely Judy Blume. I can't wait. Next weekend, I think, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret comes out as a film.
Right, that's right. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Pam, what is something from your childhood that you still treasure?
That I still treasure. Ooh. This has nothing to do with writing. I have a Minnie Mouse doll like since birth, the kind of thing that if you went on the road trip and you forgot the doll, you had to drive the 2 hours back. And we had childhood Labradors who ripped this poor Minnie doll to shreds a couple times, and my mom like painstakingly put the Minnie, and she's probably over there somewhere. So.
Aw.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice to have something like that.
Yeah.
I thought, what would I answer for this question? And believe it or not, this is kind of creepy. I have my 2 braids. My mother, my hair was in braids. And she cut them off, and then I had the hair.
She saved your braids?
I've still got
Very
them.
Victorian.
Write a book about that. That is good stuff.
Yeah, forget the hair and the locket business.
Yeah.
I've got the whole braids. I
The
can
whole-
make wigs.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Right now, we would like to hear about your book recommendations. Hank and my goal is to make sure that anybody who attends a backroom event walks away with at least 8 titles, right? With these 4 authors' new books, and then also their book recommendations. So Brendan, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. I am happy to recommend Ozark Dogs by my friend Eli Craner. I saw him speak in Baltimore the other day, and he was giving a synopsis of this book. And when I read it, I mean, it's a fable. It really is a fable, and it is wonderfully written. The characters are fantastic, and it's fast paced, and the story is just fantastic. I literally went as I'm reading this. When you can do that with a book, it's good. And this one did it. Good stuff.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. How about you, Julie?
So my recommendation, which I'm going to bring up on my phone here, is, and I feel like everybody's already read it by now, and if not, you must, Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson. It was similar to what Brendan just said about his recommendation, fast-paced, fascinating, incredible characters. I couldn't put it down, and I learned so much. And that's what I really like about historical fiction, especially we're all here tonight to talk about historical fiction. So I kind of learn all my history through fiction. Don't tell anybody. I'm like the occasional like Ken Burns documentary, but I really love learning something new. And this is an incredibly important piece of American history.
Yeah, thank you. Renee, what are you recommending?
So this is Her Lost Words by Stephanie Marie Thornton. Just came out in March, and it's about 2 literary legends, Mary Wollstonecraft and her daughter, Mary Shelley. So it's the 2 Marys. And if you've ever been sort of fascinated by what makes a writer tick and how a writer comes into their own voice, this is the book.
Pam, what book are you recommending?
So I'm the least prepared human on the planet, and so I don't have the book to hold up, but I want to tell you about a debut called When Franny Stands Up by Eden Robbins. And this is sort of a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel type of book. There's a little bit of, I want to say like an LGBTQ twist to that, but it's very much in that vein of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's about a female stand-up comedian, and the author, her prose is hilarious, which I am unable to write humor, so I'm just in awe.
Wasn't that fun? We hope you enjoyed this taste of what a backroom event is like. The best part comes immediately after, when the audience is divided into 4 breakout rooms and the authors visit each room in turn. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because these relaxed face-to-face conversations between authors and readers are the hallmark of our backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded. What's said in the backroom stays in the backroom.